On February 13th, 2017, two teenage best friends set out for what should have been a peaceful afternoon walk through a scenic hiking trail in Delphi, Indiana. They never came home. What followed became one of the most closely watched criminal investigations in modern American history. A tiny town was suddenly at the center of a nationwide mystery. Millions of people followed every new clue, every press conference, and every rumor, hoping for answers. For years, investigators searched for the person responsible. Then, after an investigation that lasted more than 5 years, authorities announced a major arrest. This is the story of the Delphi murders. Delphi is a small community in Carroll County, Indiana, with a population of only a few thousand people. It's the kind of town where neighbors know each other and violent crime is rare. On Monday, February 13th, schools were closed for the day. 13-year-old Abigail Williams and 14-year-old Liberty German decided to spend the afternoon together. Liberty's older sister drove them to the Monon High Bridge Trail, a popular local hiking area known for its historic railroad bridge and wooded landscape. The girls planned to enjoy the afternoon, take photos, and explore the trail before being picked up later that day. Nothing seemed unusual. Around the scheduled pickup time, a family member arrived at the trail, but the girls were nowhere to be found. Calls to their phones went unanswered. Family members searched the area themselves before contacting law enforcement. As daylight faded, volunteers from the community joined police officers in an expanding search. Throughout the night, dozens of people searched the trails, nearby woods, and surrounding property. Everyone hoped the girls had simply gotten lost. But the following day, the search took a devastating turn. On February 14th, searchers discovered the bodies of Abigail Williams and Liberty German near Deer Creek, not far from the trail they had been exploring. The town was shocked. What had started as a missing person search had become a homicide investigation. As investigators began collecting evidence, they made a remarkable discovery. Before the incident, Liberty German had used her cell phone to record a short video of an unidentified man walking across the Monon High Bridge. Investigators also recovered a brief audio recording from the phone. Police later released a small portion of both the video and the audio to the public, hoping someone would recognize the individual shown in the footage. The recording quickly became one of the most recognizable pieces of evidence in any American criminal investigation. Despite thousands of tips from across the country, identifying the person in the recording proved far more difficult than anyone expected. The mystery had only just begun. Within hours of confirming the murders, investigators from the Carroll County Sheriff's Office were joined by the Indiana State Police and the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Crime scene specialists carefully processed the area, collecting physical evidence and documenting every detail that might help identify the person responsible. As news of the case spread, thousands of tips poured in from across the United States. Detectives interviewed local residents, searched electronic records, reviewed surveillance footage from nearby locations, and examined digital evidence. Despite the enormous effort, investigators faced a difficult challenge. The crime had taken place in an outdoor area with limited surveillance cameras and very few eyewitnesses. Months passed without an arrest. Still, investigators insisted they were making progress behind the scenes. One of the most unusual aspects of the investigation was a cell phone recording made by Liberty German. Police released a short video showing an unidentified man walking across the Monon High Bridge. They also released a brief audio clip in which the man appeared to say the words, "Guys, down the hill." The recording immediately attracted national attention. Television, networks, newspapers, podcasts, and online communities analyzed every frame of the video and every second of the audio. People debated the suspect's clothing, his walk, his voice, and even the smallest details that might reveal his identity. Investigators encouraged the public to focus only on official information and warned against spreading rumors or accusing innocent people. Even with thousands of new tips, the mystery remained unsolved. As the years passed, the case became one of America's most discussed unsolved murder investigations. Law enforcement held multiple press conferences and continued asking for public assistance. Investigators released updated suspect sketches as the investigation evolved and explained that new information had changed the direction of the case. Although many theories appeared online, officials repeatedly reminded the public that speculation was not evidence. Behind the scenes, detectives continued reviewing old leads, conducting interviews, and re-examining evidence with newer investigative techniques. The search for answers was far from over. Then, after more than 5 years of investigation, authorities announced a major breakthrough that surprised many people. But would the evidence be enough to solve one of America's most famous criminal cases? For more than 5 years, investigators continued following leads that seemed to go nowhere. Every new tip was reviewed, every interview carefully documented, and every piece of evidence re-examined. Then, in October 2022, authorities announced a major development. A local Delphi resident named Richard Allen had been arrested and charged in connection with the murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German. The announcement stunned the community. Many people wondered how someone who had lived in the area for years could allegedly remain unidentified for so long. Law enforcement emphasized that the investigation had never stopped and that detectives had continued working quietly behind the scenes until they believed they had enough evidence to move forward. As court documents became public, prosecutors outlined the evidence they believed linked Allen to the crime. According to court filings, investigators alleged that Allen had acknowledged being on the Monon High Bridge Trail on the day of the murders. Prosecutors also presented forensic evidence that they argued connected a firearm associated with Allen to an unspent cartridge recovered near the crime scene. The defense challenged aspects of this evidence, and its significance became part of the legal proceedings. Additional witness statements and investigative findings were also presented during the case. As with any criminal trial, the prosecution and defense each had the opportunity to present evidence and question the other's claims before the court. The arrest brought relief to many residents, but it did not erase the pain the community had experienced for years. Family members, investigators, and local residents had spent more than half a decade searching for answers. The case had changed Delphi forever. It also demonstrated how persistence, continued investigation, and cooperation among multiple law enforcement agencies can play a critical role in solving complex criminal cases. Even after the arrest, public interest remained intense as the legal process continued through the courts. The courtroom would become the next chapter in this extraordinary case, where prosecutors and the defense would present their arguments and the justice system would determine the outcome based on the evidence presented. Following Richard Allen's arrest, the investigation entered a new phase. The focus shifted from the search for a suspect to the courtroom, where prosecutors and the defense prepared their cases. Because of the intense public interest, nearly every court hearing received widespread media coverage. News organizations from across the country closely followed each new development. Prosecutors argued that the evidence collected during the investigation connected Allen to the crime. The defense challenged the prosecution's evidence and maintained that the state had not proven its case beyond a reasonable doubt. As in every criminal trial, it was ultimately the jury's responsibility to carefully examine the evidence presented in court. During the trial, jurors heard testimony from investigators, forensic experts, and witnesses involved in the years-long investigation. Both sides questioned witnesses and presented competing interpretations of the evidence. Prosecutors argued that the totality of the evidence pointed to the defendant, while the defense challenged the reliability and interpretation of key pieces of evidence. The proceedings attracted national attention, with many legal analysts discussing the case because of its complexity and the years of investigation that had preceded it. Throughout the trial, the judge reminded the jury that their decision had to be based solely on the evidence presented in court, not on media coverage or public opinion. After considering the evidence and testimony, the jury reached its verdict. The verdict marked a significant moment in a case that had affected the Delphi community for years. For many people, it represented the end of one chapter in a long and difficult legal process. Even after the verdict, the case continued to be discussed by legal experts, journalists, and members of the public because of the investigation's length and the role that digital evidence played throughout the case. While the legal proceedings had reached a major milestone, the impact of the case extended far beyond the courtroom. We'll look at the lasting legacy of the Delphi investigation, the lessons learned, and why this case continues to be remembered across the United States.